Shane Burgos versus Edson Barboza. This is the detailed prediction and betting tips for this epic fight on this main card. Featherweight matchup, top fighters in the world, and absolute dynamite strikers. Let's first talk about Shane Burgos, who's really emerged as a hot contender on the rise. Even coming off a loss to Josh Emmett, to me his stock rose in that performance, even in defeat. The man's chin is absolute iron, and he's extremely big for 145. Also a really fast starter. But some things he does really well with his striking: hands low, kickboxing style. I like it. It makes him more unpredictable. Will note, with the hands low, you can get caught. And against Josh Emmett, there were moments where Emmett entered the pocket extremely quick, and then he did land big shots over the top that, if his hands were higher, maybe would not have landed. Now, he also switches the stances up as well, which definitely is an advantage. Fighting out of both stances gives your opponent two different looks. It can definitely throw them off in the fight. Really likes those calf kicks, rips them very hard, and they do a lot of damage. And I think in this matchup, Edson on the other side, also a guy known for tremendous kicks. With Edson Barboza, I mean, his striking is just excellent overall. He fights extremely well from the kickboxing range, and he's patient. And when he finds the opening, he will absolutely target it, connect, land, do serious damage. Edson Barboza is a special striker and really devastating leg kicks, wheel kicks. I mean, the guy has a crazy game of striking, but if you see him in there versus somebody who can wrestle a bit, it does get limited a bit more with the kicking game. On the side of this matchup, though, Shane Burgos is going to be looking to fight. With Burgos, I think he's going to look to pressure forward, get inside the boxing range and mix it up with the hands, and probably get Edson Barboza into more of a Shane Burgos firefight. But Edson on the other side has actually been fighting really well when he's a lot more technical, a lot more patient, and he's not putting himself out there to get hit by big punches. I think that Burgos has the power to hurt Edson Barboza. Even though this fight is at 145, you have to acknowledge Shane Burgos hits with a ton of power and realistically is built like a 55er. The guy doesn't look like your average 45er. One thing I do notice about Burgos is he is a bit hittable. You saw that against Josh Emmett. He's hittable with the hands down at times. A guy like Edson Barboza can absolutely capitalize on those small little mistakes. My fear, though, is that with the hands down from the outside, maybe Barboza's ripping low kicks, maybe he's ripping body kicks and making Shane Burgos think low, and then he sets him up for the head kick or maybe even a spinning wheel kick. I believe, I'm calling it right now, you will see at least one spinning wheel kick out of Edson Barboza in this fight. Does it land? Maybe. Can you imagine he gets a spinning wheel kick knockout of Shane Burgos, puts on one of the best knockouts of all time, and skyrockets his stock at 145 pounds? Because let's talk about this. If Edson Barboza wins this fight, he's skyrocketing into the top of the weight class, and I would not be shocked if he fights towards a real contender fight. Would anybody really be disappointed to ever see Edson Barboza fighting for a world title? I mean, I would love to see it at 45. I'd love to see a lot of matchups. I would like to see him versus Max Holloway. If he can get through Shane Burgos here, I think down the line, maybe set up that matchup because it's more of a dream fight. Sure, disappointing loss in the debut at featherweight for Edson. Somewhat controversial. I would say somewhat, not extremely, but Ige probably didn't deserve to win that fight. But Dan Ige's an absolute monster, and now he's fighting Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie. Edson Barboza here in this matchup, for me, the best bet to victory is going to be staying technical, staying from the kickboxing range, not getting too close, because I think Shane Burgos is the better fighter with the hands of the two. His dirty boxing is nasty. Inside, he can mix it up extremely well. He's also good in the clinch, but as is Edson, so I think the clinch will potentially cancel one another out. I feel like both these guys, as far as strikers go, some of the best in the 145-pound weight class. Whoever wins this fight, I think their trajectory is straight upward. For Edson, 35 years of age now, I do believe it's more of a now or never moment. If he doesn't win this fight, the odds of him ever fighting for a world title, I'm calling it probably finished. If he wins this fight against Shane Burgos, I think he can make a push towards the top of the weight class. The outcome that I see happening here is absolute entertainment on both sides. First and foremost, I think that we're going to be in for an excellent matchup. I think Burgos is going to make this one a fight, and I think Edson will oblige at points, but I think his fight IQ will be superior here. I think he'll fight intelligently from the outside, land counters when he can, and I do think at points he will get caught by Shane Burgos. I also see probably Shane Burgos at least winning a round here. I think this fight is extremely competitive and close, but I think Edson Barboza edges out Shane Burgos on a close decision, or maybe even knocks him out with a spinning back kick late, spinning wheel kick, something crazy that we've seen from him in the past. I don't know why I have this odd feeling. Could be way off with that guess, but I definitely think it's possible. But realistically, if I had to pick my detailed pick, my true prediction, Barboza wins 2-1 here against a very game and incredible fighter, Shane Burgos. It's going to be straight action and fireworks. Wouldn't be shocked if we see a TKO on either side as well, but I just think because they're so technically sound striking, and both are brawlers, not necessarily brawlers, Burgos on one side, the brawler, versus the more poised technical striker, but both have very good technical striking abilities and have been in brawls and sometimes are willing to engage in those firefights. I think we're in store for absolute action. But still, I'm going to ride Edson. Let's look at some bets that we can maybe place for this matchup. I will say bet with extreme caution on this fight because I really believe this is any man's battle at the end of the day when you got a guy like Burgos. If Edson Barboza chooses to oblige Burgos in a war inside the pocket, mixing it up with the hands, I think he could be in a lot of trouble. But his chin has not looked bad at 145 pounds, and I'm still saying Edson Barboza win by decision. I'm confident enough to say this here and commit to Edson as an underdog at plus 120. The only value bet that I personally will be playing here is Edson Barboza, sprinkle the dog. If maybe you want to throw a unit down, you can, but play with the dog here in Edson. If it's on my side, not loving the props. The only prop maybe we could go, does fight go to decision at minus 155? I don't love to bet it because I think either man could be knocked out. Maybe you like Barboza winning this fight by a decision. Maybe you want to bet that at plus 250, but maybe you like Burgos winning a decision at plus 200. Burgos could maybe get the TKO. I don't really think the props in this fight are where I'm going to lead you guys. Personally, I'm not feeling them. Personally, I would rather see a bet straight up on one or the other. And for me, I'm picking the dog. So at plus 120, plus 123, wherever you find it, you might see it at plus 110, might be a bit less, depending on what bookie you're going to be using. I like Edson Barboza, a straight up underdog pick. I think that's the value here, and that's what I will be playing. Let's actually talk about something crazy, though, because if Edson does win this fight, I really think the options are endless at 145 pounds. Giga Chikadze? Can you imagine Edson Barboza, Giga Chikadze? Edson Barboza, Yair Rodriguez? Edson Barboza, Max Holloway? I don't know, Zabit Magomed Sharipov. I mean, he retired, but hypothetically speaking, I think a comeback could happen, and maybe a guy like Edson Barboza would be a fight that really interests him. Overall, I think there's so many incredible matchups for the winner of this fight moving forward. I think the winner's stock rises significantly. For Edson, I do think that it keeps that title shot hope alive, and because of his resume at 155 pounds, I would like to see them give him a little bit of a push. Maybe this is my bias towards being a fan of Barboza for many years. I just hope the man gets a title shot before his reign ends as a fighter, because I do think he's been incredible. He's blessed us with so many great moments in fighting. I would love to see it. But this is not a fan pick. I think Edson Barboza wins this fight technically 2-1. Burgos will have his moments. Burgos will definitely make it scrappy at points, but Edson will fight most of this fight with the superior technical kickboxing abilities, and that's why he wins on the scorecards. Excellent matchup here. Could not be more excited for this fight on the main card. Overall, the entire UFC 262 card is amazing. If you guys are looking for the full card predictions, I will link them in the descriptions, as well as the full card betting breakdown. Make sure that you guys smash that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. We're covering all things MMA, Bellator, PFL, One Championship, UFC, and even some boxing too. So keep it locked in right here at MMA Experts. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok if you're interested. And I will see you all in the next video.